In 1992, just after the Olympic Games, over 3,000 athletes from over 100 countries competed in over 70 sporting events at the Paralympic Games in Barcelona, Spain. All of these athletes exemplify the fierce competition of their sport, competing in swimming, track and field events like long jump, sprints, long-distance racing, javelin, shot put, and judo. Besides sharing the will to win and the drive needed to train year-round to compete as world-class athletes, these competitors have something else in common. They share something that most people would assume would make them unable to perform, making them immobile and incapable of competing in athletics. They share something that most would perceive as debilitating, making them feeble or weak. These athletes are blind or visually impaired.
I have ocular albinism, which causes a decrease in acuity. So when I look at an eye chart, I can see the E, and that's all I can
have
differentiate.
cornea dystrophy, and I have blood vessels in my cornea.
There's a problem called achromatopsia. The cones in your eyes don't work, so you see no color whatsoever. Your world is like
She was
looking at black
born
and white TV
with
all
a condition
your
called
life.
sclerocornea. The white of her eyes mixed with the cornea, so her eyes were completely opaque when she was born, so it wasn't too hard to tell
When I
something
was
was wrong.
born, I had cataracts. When I was 5 months old, they took my lenses out, so everything looks blurry to me.
I originally
So I
became
have to have a high
blind from
prescription
Coats disease,
contacts.
which is retinal hemorrhaging, a buildup of pressure in the back of the eyes.
At the age of 15, I lost my vision totally.
Immediately following the Olympics, elite athletes with varied physical disabilities from all over the world compete in the Paralympics. The Paralympics should not be confused with the Special Olympics. The Special Olympics are for athletes with learning disabilities, and the Paralympics are for athletes with physical limitations. Some of the athletes competing are completely blind, and some are partially sighted.
I'm Bill Bardo. I'm a blind athlete from Alba, Pennsylvania. I'm here representing the United States Association of Blind Athletes in the 9th Paralympic Games in Barcelona, Spain. I throw the discus, the shot put, and the javelin. In terms of self-esteem, anybody, it doesn't matter if you're blind or sighted or what, when you're in good physical shape, you feel better about yourself. That's a normal thing. It's not a matter so much of beating other people, which I enjoy, but the bigger thing for me is through competition, we all improve. And by competing, I get the best out of myself.
My name is Tim Willis, and I'm a member of the United States Association for Blind Athletes. I'm 21 years old. I'm a junior at Georgia Southern University, where I'm studying pre-law. I'm competing right now in track. I've done the 800, 1500, and 5000 over here in Barcelona.
Initially, I was skeptical that a totally blind person could run, period, in terms of being able to be a competitive athlete. But after the first day watching Tim run, a lot of the myths and barriers that I foresaw were actually simply myths. And it was clear that Tim had the desire and the ability to be a competent athlete, and that the fact that he was totally blind was just more of an inconvenience, so to speak, than a barrier.
He's my guide runner and my coach, so he always tells me where I'm positioned. He might tell me what my rest of my competition is as far as who else is in the race.
The main function of the guide runner is to serve as the eyes, or kind of as the seeing eye dog for the totally blind person.
Some blind runners and their guides simultaneously hold a tether or a shoestring during a race. Guides will tap or pull the runners if they run in the wrong direction.
Pulling on the shoestring is a good way to indicate, competitors right in front of you, we need to slow down or we're going to go crashing into them. Usually if you look at the tethers, again, except maybe at a turn or in an instant where maybe the athlete slows up more than the guide runner was anticipating or vice versa, you might see the tether kind of straighten out. But most of the time, if you watch the tethers, there'll be a kind of a little dip or valley in them, which is indicating that the two are just running in tandem, but that one is not leading or pulling the other, and vice versa.
Someone will see me and a teammate running with the shoestring, the tether, and they'll think it's some kind of a punishment for the people on the team, if they're not running fast enough, they have to tie themselves together and, to make sure they run fast enough.
Another method of guide running is the calling system. Under the calling system, a B1 sprinter runs the 100-meter dash. In these time trials, callers help guide the runners by using auditory signals, or calling, to help keep the runners in their lanes. A caller yells to the B1 sprinter the number of the lane that he or she is running in during the race. Their call serves as an auditory target and helps navigate the path for the runner. By stationing themselves down the lane of the track, they can yell lane numbers to the competitor. This helps the runner with orientation. If the runner drifts into another lane, the guide will yell out the lane number in order to get the runner back in the lane. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, so the transmission of the caller's signals is important. The communication between the caller and the competitor is crucial for winning results.
12.80 seconds.
The blind and visually impaired also play team sports such as goalball. Goalball was developed after World War II as a way of rehabilitating soldiers who lost their vision in combat. The sport is now played in 35 countries, including Kuwait, Algeria, Spain, Egypt, and Israel. Goalball is played by 2 teams of 3 people on an indoor court about volleyball size. The player takes a goalball, which is a partially deflated rubber ball, and rolls it to the other team's net. The goalball has bells inside, and the players have to listen for the sound of the ball. The players dive onto the ground, block the ball, and have 8 seconds to roll the ball back to the other team. All players, blind and partially sighted, must wear eye shades that prevent them from seeing anything. In sanctioned sports for the blind and visually impaired, there are 3 different categories in which the athletes compete. The categories are B1, B2, and B3. B1 athletes are unable to recognize objects, such as a hand.
Right here.
Some B1 athletes cannot see anything, not even light or shadows. B2 athletes' vision ranges from the ability to recognize a hand to an acuity of 2600. A B3 athlete's visual acuity ranges from 2600 to 2200. Usually, B3 athletes do not need to carry a cane.
I'm a B3, which is the highest classification allowed. If someone is standing far away, I can't see the detail. Seeing words on a blackboard are not clear. I wouldn't be able to drive, thank God. Knock some people out on the road.
And when I lost my eyesight, I felt like my opportunity for competition in sports, and even recreational sports, was gone. I thought those opportunities had all vanished. As what I saw faded out of view. And I was devastated by that. It left a tremendous void in my life.
I lost my vision when I was 15 years old. And it done it all of a sudden from the 8th grade and to the 9th grade during the summer. And then when I started in 9th grade in public school, I noticed I couldn't read small print anymore or see the blackboard. And for a kid just starting high school like that, it was a big adjustment because, a lot of peer pressure. You didn't want other kids to know that you couldn't see or something was wrong. So I tried my best to hide it, and the teachers would notice what was wrong, and they would help me to hide it.
When I was in high school, I used a small monocular, which is a small visual device, which brings everything much closer so that I could read the blackboard in school. So I sit in the back of the room so that no one would see me use it, and so that I could do all the work that I could without asking help from anyone. And my Spanish teacher, he gets in front and he goes, "Hi back there." He went ships ahoy because I was using this monocular, and I was devastated. The whole class turned around, looked at me. Boom! I put the monocular down between my legs, and I was just devastated. What he had done was he just